All right, welcome to the weekly meeting, March 22nd, 2025. This is our last full trading week of the quarter, and then we can start looking at the new quarterly candles, which will give us direction um, that we can trade, for the foreseeable future. But before we, um, I guess, get into what I want to talk about, which is multi-time frame analysis. Um, I kind of want to um, give y'all a little motivation, right? I don't know if you guys know who Dr. Frazier is, but I just with the state of things and the state of things as a Black person, and I know everybody in this group is not a Black person, but I am. So I'm just going to allow you to live in my shoes for a bit. But the state of things as Black people are both very sensitive and very concerning. Uh, so I just want to take about 15 minutes to uh, to let Dr. Frazier uh, do his thing, and then I want to give you a personal story, and then we'll get into the plan.
World. In other words, brothers and sisters, there is no one to save us but us. Right. In case no one told you this, I'm telling you this. They told me. They thought I was right. So, Dr. Frazier, I was at an all-white event. I'm sort of like, maybe God put me here as a spy, a double agent. We will not be Satan in Black people. No. In fact, white folks are not even thinking about Black people. You know who white folks are thinking about? They're thinking about white folks. They're thinking about their children, their wives, their husbands, their communities, their businesses, their educational system. They're not thinking about you. I had a good white friend who said to me not long ago, he said, George, I know the problem with Black people. I said, oh, really? Really, Bob? What might that be? He said, you spend all your time thinking about us, and we don't spend any of our time thinking about you. Therefore, if you're not thinking about you, and we damn sure ain't thinking about you, who's thinking about you? Well, I had to do a Holy Ghost dance. Sometimes I feel that we are searching for a key to an unlocked door.
Dr. George Frazier, a visionary, a connector, and a leader. For decades, he's been a beacon of inspiration, championing the power of networking, education, and economic empowerment within the Black community. But who is this incredible man, and why is his message so vital today? Watch and pay attention, and I will share my thought later.
I have two definitions for leadership. To be a leader is to be awake and alert and to be dissatisfied at all times. Oh, yes, we have come a long way, but we have much further to go. Therefore, brothers and sisters, I am not happy. But I am motivated by a positive anger directed towards positive change. What do we know about change? We know that you will never change that which you tolerate, and you will only change when you get angry. Obviously, Black people are not quite angry enough. So we will continue to experience pain, death, and social injustice until we stop it, until we act, until we get angry. My second definition is that a leader defines reality and provides hope. A leader defines reality and provides hope. So I'm going to define reality as I see it, as a race man, as a black man that has served our community for 40 years, that has crisscrossed the world, has been every place that black people have been dispersed. South Africa, Central Africa, East Africa, West Africa, all over North Africa, all over South America, and all over the Caribbean. I'm going to define that reality for you. I believe that African Americans are at a pivotal point in history. The world is not waiting for us to wake up to our power. It is time for African Americans to take a seat at the table, not only in America, but also in the global economy. Unfortunately, we continue to place our power in the hands of those who have historically oppressed us, and even worse, we continue to oppress each other. This is the meaning of internalized oppression. To continue to fall into the cultural hypnosis of thinking that white America controls our lives is a true abdication of our personal power. And the reality is that each and every day is an opportunity for us to create a new and powerful story in our.
Whoo, child. All right. Let's let that sink in for a minute. He said so much, in that little 10-minute clip. He said so much. But how many of us are awake, alert, and dissatisfied? How many of you personally are awake to your situation, alert to what's going on around you, and dissatisfied? If you never get to that state, you can never progress. If you go to the gym, it's because you're awake, you're alert, and you're dissatisfied. What are you dissatisfied with? The state of your body, the state of your health, right? If you go to church, you're awake, you're alert, and you're dissatisfied with the state of things, with the state of your soul, with the state of the evil that goes on around you. A leader, what does a leader provide, right? He defines reality. What is real? What is your reality, right? And then provides you with a sense of hope. He talked about needing, what do we need to progress as a people? Economic empowerment, networking, and education. Everything that you have access to in this group. How many of you learn more than you've ever learned about financial markets? Just by virtue of you being here, there's 24 participants on this call. You have a network of 24. There's over 800 people in this group. They may not be active today, but at some point in time, they were active. They might come back, right? Give or take, you might have 150 active people, right? The vast majority of those people look just like you. So I lived, on the heels. I was born on the heels of the Vietnam War conflict. And I've heard the great stories of the redlining, when banks denied Black people loans, especially in California. I was born in California, my dad was a Vietnam vet. Luckily he wasn't caught up in the drugs, and alcohol. He didn't get caught up in that movement. But many of our people fell victim to those games and those systems. And they got snared by the traps that were set. The same way we have gotten snared by traps that were set. The spend until you can't spend any more economics that are employed by most in our community. We are the most broke folk, and we spend the most money. It's just facts. It's just facts. You cannot outspend a ninja. You know, I mean, that's common knowledge. You just can't outspend us. It's just not going to happen. How many babies do you know rock Jordans? 99% of those babies are black. So all I'm telling you is if we have to be awake, right? When we look at the state of the politics in the United States, many of us get offended. And right, wrong, or indifferent, you know, we feel the way we feel. But what that doctor just said is absolutely true. I don't think that any politician, to include Donald Trump, I don't think he wakes up in the morning and says, "Let me see how I can down the black dude." I don't think that happens. I think that they wake up in the morning thinking how they can better themselves, their family, their community, their friends, and by association, a lot of times that benefits white people, right? Or people that look like them. It's not to say that we cannot come up and we cannot take advantage of the same system, but we have to stop being mad and stop pulling each other down long enough to get a simple financial education, put a simple plan together, and work with each other to advance our cause, our community, our interest, right? If we all decided, if we all became successful traders and we all decided to live in the same spot, there wouldn't be any problems. It can't be police brutality if we hire the officers that look like us. They're only going to do as much as the mayor, the one that we put in office, tells them to do. He's our mayor. He works for us. Our politicians, the ones that we elect, look like us. It's the same thing that goes on all over the world. There's just a different spin on it. And the spin is we buy our own politician. We buy our own police force. Everybody else does it. We just haven't participated in the system. And I want to leave you with this. I was in the Army for 20 years. And then I got into railroad management. And I'm going to give you an example of that same oppressive system. The same system that most of us don't like when we see our politics or our people who fall victim or get taken advantage of by the system. So I was in the Army. I did 20 years. I grew up. I became a man in the Army, and I joined the good old railroad, and I was a manager in the railroad. So I moved to California, and I got this management job. I wasn't a top manager. I was a middle manager, right? And when I met this other black dude, he was the only other black dude out there. He was one level above me, still middle management, not senior or not upper management. And I talked to him, and he had been a part of the railroad for, I don't know, 27 years. I'm like, bro, you never wanted to go higher? And he kind of looked at me with this dumb look like, you're like, yeah, of course I wanted to go higher, but you know how it is, And it just let me know at that point, it doesn't matter how good I am. Obviously, I have to be good enough to maintain my job. But the upward mobility was a cap on it because people promote themselves, right? They promote people who are cool, who they get along with, who they hang out with. And I already knew I didn't hang out with anybody that worked in the railroad. I mean, I didn't hang out with anybody really. I was a loner. I was there to do a job and come back. But I say all that to say this: if you look at your personal life and your personal relationships, right? If I draw a parallel of me showing up in California, right? For those of you who know me or you've been in the group a while, Selena's in the group. She's not active at the time, but she's in the group. Selena was my ex, and we have a son together named Aaron. But I say all that because Selena is a 4-year college graduate accountant who's making ridiculous money. You know, I mean, she lives in Georgia. She makes a lot of money, and I have personal knowledge of Selena because I was married to her. You know, I know her. I know her as a person. I'm aware of her financial situation. Just kind of knowledge, you know, the knowledge of my living experience, right? I have a business degree. I get to California. I meet this young chick who has the same degree as Selena. She has an accounting degree. Um, she has a kid. She's not doing great financially. Now I know I have intimate knowledge of what you could make, you know, because I know, I already know. Like it's you can call it life experience, you can call it me knowing the system or whatever. But this girl in California, this other black chick in California who's just young, right? Her only sin is her youth, but she did everything right. She went to college, she got her degree, right? She had a special needs kid, but it was her. She's doing her thing, living her life. I saw whatever social media it was, Instagram clip. I hit her up and I got her to meet me for dinner. And I hooked up with this chick, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, man, she doesn't she doesn't know, you know, who she is. She doesn't recognize what like her ability, her earning potential, her financial potential, her life potential. The only thing that she recognizes is her personal life tragedy, her personal financial situation. California is very expensive. She's doing everything by herself. She doesn't have any familial support. And what I mean by that is her parents aren't in a situation to to help her ascend, right? Many times when we run across our family members, we have family members that are in a situation to pull us back down. Can you give me? Can you loan me? Hey, I need, right? They're not in a position to prop you up to help you ascend. But I'm looking at her. I'm aware of her situation. And one day I said, hey man, you need to get out of here. Like, you know, you got to get out of California. And to her, that was a foreign concept. But it's just because I had the knowledge, right, to say, leave. And somebody saying that to you or you hearing that might be the key that you need to say, you know what, yeah, maybe that is something that I can do. Nobody had ever said that. But in this scenario, um, whether she goes on to become a millionaire or she falls back to her original setting is a work in progress. The thing that I'm trying to describe to you is all of us, every one of us, has a personal story and a personal situation, uh, a personal hell that we came from, and limitless possibilities that we are walking towards. We're all in the same group, in the same place, and I can guarantee you that I have found a level of success that I never thought that I would personally find. Now, when I found trading, I knew I would reach this level. But before, you know, I might have had a dream, but I darn sure didn't have a plan, right? But now I am there, and I am sitting at a table where I have the personal ability to reach back and pull people up to this table. And that is what I choose to dedicate my time towards at this level of the game. Now, the funny thing to me is, you know, when you listen to Dr. Fraser talk, he said all we needed was the education We need a network of people, right? Not just any network of people, but you need a network of people who can do things financially, right? If I want to build a school, I don't want to have to go to the bank to get a loan. They might tell me no. They can find 12 different ways to disqualify me for that loan. But if I go to 5 friends who I know are making $1 million every 2 months, and we just got to pitch in 300K a piece, I don't need a loan. And I can build my school. I can teach what I want to teach in my school because I don't owe anybody. I can hire my own teachers, my own professors. I can hire my own security from my own neighborhood. I can incorporate a neighborhood. I can put my own mayor in this neighborhood. We've taken Uncle Sam or Uncle Sugar or whoever, we've taken them completely out of the scenario. And we have also picked up the reins. We started steering our own car. We don't need help. I don't need your credit card for gas money. I got my own gas money amongst us. Now, will we always agree? No, we won't. You know, you can't get 2 dudes or 2 girls in the same room to agree to everything. But you can agree in general or in principle to a certain ideology, right? You don't need to agree on every single thing, right? Me and my brother don't agree on every freaking thing. But as long as you're bringing your piece, your dish to the potluck, it's still a potluck and it's still amongst us. It's still amongst, we're none of us are going to do genocide on each other, right? We all study Forex because we all want to succeed. I don't have to trade like Andrew or Kim. As long as I'm making money, they don't care. I don't care how Kim trades and gets her $40,000 for this project. As long as she got her 40K. This is the same thing, guys. We have the ability to dictate our future, right? If you think about you talk to kids and you ask them what they want to do, athletes and musicians. The Jews run the music industry, right? So we can talk all we want to about black murder music. If those record labels didn't want that music out there, it wouldn't be out there because there's no black people to run the music industry. Athletes, most of them go broke. I mean, the vast majority of them do, they get that money at 20 years old, 21 years old, and they're broke, after they retire. We have the ability to change that whole narrative, that entire narrative. If we just educate ourselves and then we take this education back to our communities. As long as we maintain a network, we have this network. That is it. That's all we need. So I encourage all of you, even if you're taking a break, like if you're getting killed in the market, go to demo. Go to demo. Take a break in demo. Try not to stop coming to the meeting and stop showing up. Because when you stop coming, you're just going to fall back into the old job and the old ways. And guess what? The job is never going to pay you what you're worth. They're always going to put a ceiling on your value. The market never puts a ceiling on your value. So hopefully everybody is encouraged. I want to get into the main point of the meeting today. I want to talk about multi-time frame analysis. Okay. We've talked about market structure. We've pretty much watched, several videos that talked about structure. If you don't understand structure, you will struggle with your multi-time frame analysis. And if you struggle with that, it's going to be hard for you to make money. Now, I've been trading with my group, the 100 pip and flip group, right? I realize that everybody doesn't trade like that. So bear with me if this is going over your head, but ask questions and I'll clarify any questions. In this group, I like to swing trade, right? So I want to take my setups from at least the 1 week chart. I want to start with a 1 week order block. It doesn't matter if it's bullish or bearish, and I want to trade from that order block. But every time a candle closes, right? Maybe this 2 week candle, this says we got 6 days and 6 hours. So every time that higher time frame candle closes, I prefer to take my setup from this higher time frame. And then when the 3 week candle closes, again, this is 6 days and 6 hours. It's going to close at the same time that 2 week closes. I'm going to take my analysis from the higher one, right? So instead of looking at the 2 week in 6 days and 6 hours, I would look at the 3 week, all right? Now, we also know that we got the monthly candle closing 3 days after that. So all that means is that we're going to get the 3 week order block or the 3 week candle closure on Friday. And then we got 1 day to trade. April 1st is on a Monday. And then we start trading the new monthly candle on a Tuesday. So for all intents and purposes, on Friday, we're going to look at the monthly candle. And really, we're going to start trading that monthly candle. But because I don't want to confuse anybody, I just want to stick with the theme of trading the candle when it closes. So I want to go back to a trade setup. I'm going to work with GU, okay? Because GU is a trade setup. If I go to the 1 week chart, there is no order block here, right? However, on the 3 week, or maybe it was a 2 week, on the 2 week chart, there's a bullish order block right here, right? So I can fib this bullish order block. Get my golden zone, get my 78 and delete it, right? Everybody tracking. So
Yeah.
at this juncture, when we had this 2 week bullish order block, my expectation was for price to come and take out the high of this 2 week candle and then trade back into my golden zone area. Now, whether we buy from here or keep selling, that's a different story, one step at a time, right? But that was always what I wanted to happen. We can't control how fast or slow this move takes. And obviously, this move has taken quite some time, right? It traded up. Now it traded here. We're if we look at this 1 week chart, we are not, we didn't make a bullish, we didn't make a bearish order block. So I need to drop down. I need to keep dropping down to where I can get a trade setup that I can work with. And in this case, we can see this candle has finished. There's a 2-day bearish order block, which kind of lines up with my thought process. I can fib this 2-day candle because it's closed. It's not still running. I can mark my zone. All right. I can mark my 78, which is that red line. I can delete this candle. Then I would drop 2 time frames down. If this is a daily, I would drop to the 1 hour. But since it's a 2-day, I'm just going to drop to the 2 hour. And I'm going to look for my imbalance. And you can see, baby already found my imbalance. And she marked it. All right. Okay. So this is the imbalance that I'm going to look to take my sell from. Right. And, you know, if you are an alert type person or whatever, you can just drop you a array right here and set an alert, right? And put your on your alert sell, whatever, you know, sell GU. Okay, so all this is telling me is I don't want to take a GU trade until price hits that alert, right? Now I'm interested in taking a sell. This is my best possible position to take a sell from down to this golden zone. Okay. Now, if you get in this trade and let's just say it runs the week, the 1 week and price is still hanging out down here. Y'all know we're running up on the end of this 3-month candle, right? We got 9 days left. So basically, if it's a week and it pulls down, I mean, y'all do the math. Are we going to get a bullish order block? In y'all's opinion, is this going to end up being a bullish order block?
Yes, it is.
No, it's not, y'all.
Yeah.
Come on, y'all.
No.
Are y'all serious? Look at this candle,
I
man.
was thinking no.
No, I got bearish.
It has to go up pretty high to be a bullish order block.
And you're expecting
Oh,
a
yeah,
sell.
bearish. Yeah, bearish order
We're
block. Yeah.
expecting it to go down.
Okay. So, now we don't have to trade the next 3-month candle, but I want y'all to kind of understand the thought process. 3 months ago, we could argue whether or not this would have ended up bullish, because I would tell you, hey man, the dollar's going to sell, the dollar's going to sell. Well, all that is subject to these candles. This had 3 months for this to buy up and create a bullish order block. It did not. So what I think we can get a bounce from this area. Maybe we go up and take out the high of this 3-month candle and then start selling. That's what the chart looks like. It doesn't mean that that has to happen, but if it doesn't happen like that, it's probably going to be due to some crazy news. So instead, like, I'm just giving you my thought process. Instead of having a for sure trade set up on GU, now I have to kind of take a wait and see approach. So in my mind, I'm like, hey man, either GU is selling, which would destroy my dollar thoughts, right? Or it's going to buy despite the bearish order block, and there's going to be some turbulence. So that might not be the best trade setup for me to take coming out of the new candle. But if I go through here and I see candles that have order blocks, now I can say, man, I have a better looking setup, on GCAT if it doesn't sell too far down, right? You look at GA. GA has a bullish order block. So this candle might extend. So I might get a better setup on a pair that gives me a better looking order block or a better setup to trade. So if you're bearish on the JPYs, which I think many of you are, many of you are in a EJ sell, maybe we get a good push down and we get a bearish OB, right? That UJ trade that I often talk about, that we talked about in December. We got a ways to go, right? Before we close as a bearish OB. So if I need this to close bearish as a bearish OB, you got to go 593 pips in these last 9 days. And it's not saying that we can't do that or that it won't happen. But what I'm saying is, to me, the cards are on the table. This is a bullish 2-day order block. So what I would need to happen is for price to probably buy up past these double highs. And I would need for this thing to start selling. And if it doesn't do that, then going into the next month, right, when these 3-month candles close, I have to start trading, or my thought process will have to line up for this pair to go in a different direction. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
now thinking about a trade and actually trading the trade, they're two different things. So if I'm looking at the 3-month and thinking, okay, I have a bullish order block or I have a bearish order block, that's just the first piece of the puzzle. the first piece of the puzzle is, hey man, this is a bearish order block. We have a tap into the 78. In order to start trading this down, I can't just say as soon as January 1st starts, I'm gonna start selling UJ. I have to see liquidity get taken, and then I can start selling the trade. So in order to do that, you have to kind of line your time frames up. The first thing that I would want to do is, like I did here, I would mark out the high, because it doesn't matter what time frame I go down to. If I go down to the daily, that red line that depicts that high is still there. So what happens is, when December is over and we get into January, you just wait for price to come up and take out this high, which it did. Then you get a wick on this daily candle that wicked this high, right? Because this high was a swing point. Then you wick that high, and then price fell all the way down here to take out this low. So at this point, this pullback can come to the 78% and either keep selling, or it come to that 78% bounce and we can go higher. There's still imbalance up here. But either way, your setup is going to be based on that longer range candle. But you just have to mark up your areas of interest, and then you wait for those areas to get hit before you start taking your trades to or from that area. And it's great to be able to see it on a higher time frame. But if you don't mark your charts, right? If you don't understand what you're waiting for, you're going to get yourself either confused or in a world of pain. So if we go back to our EJ trade, I don't know if you guys remember last week. Y'all remember what we were waiting for EJ? Anybody who took the trade? Y'all worse than me, man. Y'all are horrible.
Liquidity graph?
Yeah, but
like a previous high to be taken out.
Well, we were waiting for this candle to get the high of this candle to get taken out. Y'all remember that? We had a 2-week order block. We marked up the high.
Not my AirPod.
Huh?
Sorry, nothing.
We had marked this high up. And when the week started, it was buying. The week started and this bought up. And when I came on my call on Tuesday, I said, hey, man, we're above our line. We were above the line on GJ and EJ. And the only question was if we're going to double top here, or if this is just going to fall and give us a bearish OB for us to take the trade. And it gave us the bearish OB. It climbed up. And that night at, I don't know, like 2 a.m. or whatever, it gave us that initial entry in the drop. Y'all remember that?
Yep.
Okay. So
Yes.
my whole point in bringing this up is if we didn't mark that high on this 2-week candle, and you had just went in and started trading, maybe you don't take this trade going south. Like maybe you're not aware that you need to get in that trade to move south. I had to make sure that the trade broke the high of this candle before I wanted to take the sell, because this could have just sold off like the EURCHF trade did. EURCHF. This sold. If you had gotten that trade, you would have made money. The problem is the trade never broke this high for me. So because the trade didn't break this high, it's not an option for me. Now, if somebody else would have taken this trade, you'd have still made money. You could have made your 100 pips, but it didn't break that high. So it wasn't an option for me to trade that. And that's okay. But you have to decide your setups going into the trade. And because that didn't break the high first and start selling, it just wasn't an option for me to trade it. That make sense?
Yes.
All right. So I like to try to keep this I don't know, as simple as possible. The reason why I wanted to talk about multi-time frame analysis is because if you did your 1 week analysis and you looked for your trade setups, a lot of the trades or a lot of the pair that you might normally trade, they don't have order blocks. So you could have spent, I don't know, this one does have an order block. Well, yeah, you could have spent an hour looking for trades that had OBs. There's an OB, but you might not have found one, right? Or might not have found one that you were comfortable with. But if you understand how to use your previous analysis, right? So if you had a 2 week analysis that you done last week on this pair, then you can look at it and say, hey, man, this trade is just pushing to go to my golden zone. And you could still look to enter the trade to go south into your golden zone. You just have to find a good entry point to your trade. So we can see that imbalance right here, and price may trade up into this imbalance and drop further into our zone, which would be awesome. But if you don't know how to line your time frames up, right, or look for your entries based on your time frames, then you find yourself in a predicament. So I talked to a few people last night. We got on Zoom and we kind of looked at some charts. Who needs help going between the time frames? Who's confused when it comes to going between the time frames? Nobody.
But I am
Me?
confused when I go between the time frames.
No, you gotta actually go through your charts.
I do go through. I'm very confused.
What charts do you go through?
All of them.
Thought you are a liar, thought.
I'm dead serious.
So what time frames confuse you?
I mean, it's not a consistent confusion. It's just at times when you get those bullshit candles.
What is that? Like a indecision? A doji?
Them type of the ones with the long ass wicks on either end.
What do you do? Walking around the office?
Yeah, I'm at work, man.
So this is the doji candle. Can y'all see my screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so let's just look at this EJ trade, which I think everybody decided or everybody knew that this was going to sell, right? EJ sold into this daily order block, right? If we wanted to drop down to the 1 hour chart, if you would fib this OB, you're going to come up with an imbalance right here. Okay, so basically we sold down to that imbalance that was in that daily order block, and it bounced. Then it came down and it bounced again. If you look at this chart on what needs to happen, right? Obviously, I still have this pair selling. Right? I have it selling for multi different reasons, but even the little daily swing got ran right here with a wick. We already know that was a stop run. We pushed down. We just hit our first order block, and now where is the liquidity? The liquidity rests above this daily candle, right? So when the market opens, we'll probably go up, take out the liquidity, fill in this imbalance. We don't have to fill the entire imbalance in. We don't even have to fill consequent encroachment. We just need to go above this daily candle. And then I expect this to keep pushing. Again, we're going to bounce from these order blocks, right? Because it took like millions or maybe trillions, I don't know, however many orders, dollar orders, to push the market up. So now as the market is going back, it's just bouncing from these different areas. My whole thing in this is once you do your analysis on the higher time frame, like if you had analyzed this chart on the higher time frame, you already have your target area, right? If I fib this bullish candle, I have my target area, which would be here. And if I drop to the 4-hour, I can clearly see the imbalance, right? And just because I understand how the market moves, I know that this break of structure right here is really where the market needs to touch before going back up. Because, you know, that's the order block. Boom, boom. That is the order block. That's where the market needs to come and touch before it's going to react, right? With that being said, and when we started pushing down, this is where we're pushing to. So anything that we're doing up here, any bouncing, we're just going to bounce, but we're going to keep pushing down until we hit our trigger area. So this buy up, we already pushed down. This buy up would just be to fill this imbalance, to grab more liquidity, to keep pushing down. When we took this trade last week, we knew that we had about a 500 pip trade on our hands, 475 pips. So that didn't change. Just because we got paid, you know, our 200 or 300 pips, however, you know, if you held it, you saw it at 300 at some point. It's a little bit less than that now, but just because we collected those pips doesn't mean the trade is over. What happens is, as traders, we get our money, we get fat, dumb, and happy, and we forget about the trade. This is just all we're going to get is a pullback to go lower. So if you keep in mind your higher time frame target, you can trade towards that target. Now all we're doing is filling in the blank. We got 2 daily pushes. We'll get a pullback, and we'll get through this turbulence. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
Shine.
Sure.
Shine ain't even listening. Yeah. But
I
that's
am listening. Yeah, it makes sense.
I was gonna say that's how people get confused. To me, it's because they're not keeping in mind their target. This target was still the target. Just because we use a 2-week time frame to get the target, and we traded it for 3 days, doesn't mean it hit our target. It's still going to go to this target. The same way with that 3-week order block that we had 2 weeks ago. Price is still coming to the target. We just don't know how long it's going to take to get to the target. Now, what y'all are going to see, the people who have been trading, is once we get to this target, it's probably going to line up with the beginning of the month. And then you're going to get that nice little push, right? Because we normally trade a monthly candle, and we get that big move at the beginning of the month. So as you follow this, it'll start making more sense to you. But right now, I get it. You know, it might be a little bit far-fetched, or, hey, man, I never looked at the market like that. But all you're doing is you picked up your target from a 2-week time frame, and now when you go to the lower time frames and look how the market is moving, you can see how the market is pushing down. You get a double bottom here. It's probably going to pull back to the imbalance, and it shouldn't violate that high, and it should push down further. And all you're going to see at the end of the day is you're going to see a move like this. That's all this market has been doing. It's the same thing. On the lower time frames, it might be complex. This might be a complex pullback, double bottom pullback, but at the end of the day, it's still just pulling back. If you look at this pullback right here, this is a complex pullback, and then we went higher. Then we got a single pullback and we went higher. So it's all the same. You can't get fooled by sitting on these lower time frames. You have to kind of look and see where the big picture is, and then look for your imbalances where the market is going to pull back to. And this is also the reason, Fo, that I try to tell you to stay out of that pullback. Right? When you get more experience, yeah, it's cool to trade that pullback, but as a newer trader, I wouldn't even bother trading that pullback because it's a lot of fakery that messes with people's psyche. Because when you look at this, you like, oh man, that's a straight pullback for 60 pips. I can double my lot size. And as soon as you do that, you get that move right there and it scares you. Any questions? No questions. Is anybody confused?
Yes and no.
You say yes?
Yes and no.
Well, your state of confusion might be a little bit different. What are you confused about?
Dropping down in time frame. Like I understand OBs and like the targets of where we're going, but I'm confused about things you're telling me not to worry about, like
Like what?
entries.
Like entries?
Yeah.
So this is why I tell you don't worry about entries. You're not calling the trade. I'm calling the trade. Right?
Right.
And the reason why I'm always on your head is because you're hard-headed, folks. Ever since you've always been hard-headed. You always know more than me. And what I always tell you is, look, man, soon you're going to see what I'm telling you. And your frustration is, I want to see it right now. And
right now.
Like, yeah, the market doesn't work like that. And I think a lot of times you think that I'm holding stuff back from you.
No.
But is that how you feel?
No.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
If you ask anybody on this call, everybody's going to tell you there's going to be a period of darkness where you just don't get it. And I don't know when that aha moment is going to hit you, but at some point it's going to be like a light clicks and like, God, dog, I see. Now I understand. And I don't know what that will be for you. But right now you don't understand entries. So what I try to tell you is that's cool that you don't understand entries. I do, and I'm the one that's calling the trade. And what I always do, you ask anybody in the group, when I call a trade, I will say, or I will put a picture in the chat. Hey, this is what I'm waiting on. Hey, this is what I want to see happen. And a lot of times, like when I first started learning about entries and you listen to ICT, it was confusing because I'm like, man, do I wait for liquidity or do I wait for the kill zone? And he'll say, yeah, both. Or that's so what you kind of see over time is that, yeah, it's going to be the liquidity nearest to your price point in the kill zone time. So that's why it's kind of hard to give you a concrete definition of what to look for. And if you remember that night that we took this trade, right? Your imbalance is way over here. You see that imbalance?
Yeah.
This is the imbalance that ended up getting filled. Well, coming out of Asian session, this is the high that needs to get ran. So what I would ask you as a trader, where would you get in this trade?
in once the imbalance is full,
You would get in once this imbalance is full.
failed.
Well, you would have missed this trade because that's the price would have had to come here to fill the imbalance. Just to hit the imbalance, the price just needs to
Gotcha.
come here.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So this is what I want to ask you and every other trader. At the end of the day, if you would enter this trade at the top of this Asian session and put your stop loss above this first high at 41 pips, if you had a $100 account and you was trading $1 per pip and you would enter that trade and had a 41 pip stop loss, would you have blown your account?
No.
Would it have harmed you?
No.
Would you have won your money?
Yeah.
Sometimes the trader kills himself out of ignorance, right? Out of greed, out of just ignorance. Because there's no way that you can justify to yourself why you wouldn't enter this trade and protect that high if you believed in the setup. Oh man, that's a 41 pip stop loss. So what?
Yeah, because when I entered, like what? It was probably like 8, New York. I was down for a little bit, and then it
Yeah,
just
you
took
enter
off.
over here somewhere. But I
Yeah.
get it. And you would have protected this high. But my whole point to people who trade is sometimes because you've watched so many of those dumb videos about sniper entries, that's stupid. Like, listen, if you're a swing trader and you're talking to me about a sniper entry, I just might as well kick you out the group. Because a sniper entry doesn't mean a hill of doo-doo to me. It doesn't. It doesn't mean anything. I don't care. What I care about is this trade going against me 100 pips? If it goes 96 pips against me and it takes me to my TP, I've won.
Right.
I've doubled my account. And I'm not talking to you about some hypothetical dream made up fantasy. I'm talking to you about real life results, like real progress. Every week, not once in a month, every week.
Right.
So it's sometimes it's frustrating to try to talk to people or explain to people that their thought process is the thing that screwed up. The trade idea is not screwed up. Your thought process, your approach to the trade idea is what's holding you back.
Right.
Somebody missed this trade. They even had their limit order set right here. And they took their limit order away. You know what I'm saying? And I don't mind that happened to that particular individual because that particular individual is new to trading. But this isn't reserved, and it doesn't just happen to individuals like that. It happens to people who have been here a long time. Sometimes people look at me and say, man, Todd, that's a 35 pip stop loss. I'm like, bruh.
Right.
Like who cares? It's you 35 pips in a hole, but the trade is going your direction. This trade, man, for those 40 pips in drawdown that you might have had to endure, which you didn't, but if you did, you collected 300
double.
Like it's ridiculous, man. So even one of those risk reward hounds, that may or may not be successful, but the risk reward people can't argue with risking 40 for 309.
Yeah.
So all I'm saying is make it make sense for you, and don't worry about sniper entries. understand the concept that we're trading. Understand you don't have to have a sniper entry. You know where the imbalance is. You know where the trade is supposed to go. Enter your trade and take your profit at your TP. You're not going to lose very many trades. That's just how it works. Has nothing to do with me. We're not trying to trade on the 15-minute chart. We're trading way up here.
Yeah.
Is anybody else confused or lost? Don't understand.
No, I just gotta try to follow it better throughout the week. I see what the deal is.
I know. Sometimes you get I tell you, hey man, look, take this trade. I ain't taking that, man. I ain't taking that.
It's because you be trying to set a brother up, man.
No. I tell you when to get in, when to get out.
trying to get me to lose my stacks. You know?
So here's another thing. The EJ trade. The EJ trade is just getting started. A lot of y'all who posted trades in the group, y'all posted GA over EJ. How?
They probably didn't post EJ because it's in no man's land.
Well, but okay, I get it. But where is it pulling back to?
Well,
it is in no man's land. Okay.
You said it was pulling back to some imbalance. So I got to do the work when I get home and look.
Well, if you're trading EJ and you can see this imbalance on the daily chart, that's where the liquidity is, above that daily high. So obviously it's going to pull back to this area before it keeps pushing. But my point to the people who were posting their charts, how is this GA trade, right? This pullback, how is this pullback better than that better than the EJ trade?
I mean, how many pips is that candle?
I don't know, but let's just see the pullback. The pullback from here will be 103. If it breaks this high, then you're looking at a better setup. But there are two things that I just don't like about the trade, right? I would rather this trade pull back and keep going higher and just trade back down to this big gap that it never filled when the new month starts. That would be the ideal situation. But because we didn't trade into this gap, this trade could pull down and just keep, it fight through. It'll have to bounce here, but just keep trading down to this imbalance. So if you're expecting a buy, you might not ever get it. You get a bounce and then you lose the trade.
Well, did they post a GA buy or did they trace a GA pullback?
That was really my question to a lot of them. And a few of them wanted to post a GA sell, which is cool. But what I'm saying is, and of course they would sell it from up here, so it'd probably be like closer to 190 pips. All I'm saying, and I don't want to beat up people's analysis because there's nothing wrong with that analysis. But when I asked you for your top three, and this is one of your top three, I have the question so that 190 pip trade is better than your 300 pip EJ trade?
Well, can I say something?
Sure.
I don't know if this affect if anybody was like me. Well, like what I have been struggling with is I understand when we start off on a fresh candle for the week and we fib it, and like on the EJ trade, this was my first time being in a trade that's projected to go 500 pips. I'm just gonna be completely honest with you. Once it got to the 3 something, I took my money and I really didn't know where to re-enter or do anything like that. So when we talked about the weekly charts, I knew EJ had to keep selling, but I thought we were just supposed to analyze like the new weekly order blocks and not just the overall best setup. So
you're not wrong. You know, that's kind of why I was telling them, you know, that those shitty candles, you know, because now you got to go in there between the time frames and figure out where it's likely to buy to or sell to, depending on what the overall direction is. So I hear you and I agree with you, and I struggle with that a little bit myself, and I just think that that's just going to be part of the growth process.
Well,
you know,
I listen. I don't disagree with what Will is saying, but this is why you're waiting till Tuesday. This pullback is not going to, if this is not in our area on Tuesday, then we don't have to take that trade. But if you just think about it in your own mind, if Monday we get a bullish candle, and then Tuesday it pushes up into your zone, and of course Tuesday night we on the trigger. So if we run that liquidity and start selling back down, you already know that's your signal.
Yeah, no, I get that. So just like when we took EJ last week, when it went above that high, like I'm good at like finding the imbalances and all of that for like confirmation. It's just sometimes I just get lost throughout the week when I have multiple golden zones marked up from the 2 week order block. Then I had a daily order block.
Label it if you have to. Label it.
Okay.
There's nothing wrong with, like, your charts are for you. And the same thing that I told people last night. Y'all, every one of y'all have the ability to create your own Discord. And you can have your own channel. Like you can have a GA channel or a GB or GU channel. And when you do your analysis, you take a screenshot and you post that screenshot in your personal Discord. And when you have to reference back to it, because you're not going to initially remember, and I know this because whenever I do my analysis with my girlfriend, it's the same, like, man, weren't we expecting this? And she's like, what? I'm like, man, we just went over that 2 days ago. And she doesn't remember. But for me,
this is why I was saying previously that trying to looking at the charts that are being posted, and it's not for me to understand, but if I understand exactly what you're trying to do, then I know that you understand. You know what I'm saying? I know that
I feel the same way. And whenever
but no, because you said that I understand what they're talking about. But my point in what I was saying was, if I understand what they're saying, and I say it all the time, like if somebody can explain what they're trading to me and they talking that to me, then I understand it, then I know they know what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? But if you can't explain it to me or show me show me, because I mean, I just want somebody to speak the language, right? But if you can't explain it to me, then I know you may not I understand that you may not understand exactly what you're trying to do. So that's why I said that. Was it last week?
It was last week.
Explaining what your chart is, what you're playing on, explaining your idea, your trade idea.
Under the chart. Yeah, I've been trying to do that since last week. So like it's supposed to buy up to this 4-hour imbalance, then sell down to the golden zone for the 2 week order block. So I've been trying to do that to make it make sense. And the more you can talk about it, the more you understand it.
Exactly.
I think so too. And I think if you label, like if your zones are confusing you, you have to label them. Because if this is your target, all this zone represents to me is a pullback to where I want to get my entry to get to the target. That's it. And listen, I don't expect y'all to know how to switch time frames and find your entries or your re-entries in a long-term trade, because that's generally not what most of y'all do, right? Most, if we're real, most people live on the 4 hour and the 15-minute time frame, and they make a career out of that, or they make a career out of giving up their money on those time frames. Very few people swing trade or trade from the higher time frames and hold trades or re-enter trades, multiple times to go to a overall target. So I don't have a problem, or I understand why people are confused when the charts aren't lined up perfectly, right? When you can't just use a single order block and trade to a single place. And we could, those of you who got in this trade here around the 163.90 area, when we originally took this trade, you didn't have to take any profit. Like, Will, you say you took your profit? I'm still in the trade.
Yeah, I seen $1,000. I had to take that.
Well, it's nothing wrong with that, guy.
I took mine too. Shit.
Yeah, it's nothing wrong with that. I think I told you to take yours, Sean. It's nothing wrong. I'm still in this trade.
You did tell me, but it was getting taken regardless.
Yeah, so I get it. I get it. All I'm trying to tell you is, over time, y'all are going to trust what you see. And you're going to say, okay, I see how it pulled back and it kept pushing. I get it. There's nothing wrong with taking your profit and doubling your account. I'm still in the EN trade. Are y'all, anybody still holding EN?
Yep.
So
I think Mike was. When I talked to him.
I'm holding both of those trades. My account is substantially bigger, but the point is, I've done this for at least 2 years and change. I've traded like this, so I'm not squeamish. When it comes to holding my position, the lot sizes are a lot bigger now. That's it. The trade setup is the exact same. Over time, over the next few months, as a group, since we're all going through this together, you're going to see. I challenged y'all on the GA trade because I don't think it should be in anybody's top 3 setup. I'm not saying it's not a good trade to take your 100 pips. It is. You can get 100 pips from that trade. My challenge is, how is that a top 3? One of the top 3 best setups of the coming week? I'll have to disagree with that, because at best it can give me 192 pips back to the golden zone.
Medical OID. What do
Y'all see what I'm saying?
for us to get
No, I get it. I get what you're saying. How much is you, Jay? If it pull back to that golden zone, how much is that down to the bottom?
You say UJ or EJ?
EJ, wait, you on? I meant EJ.
Okay. When
from right there
to here, let's go to the beginning, because we don't know how deep, but just from the beginning to this imbalance 368.
Yeah, I need 250 of that.
Well, I don't want you to be fooled. It ain't gonna be a straight drop like this one was, because you got some turbulence. It's gonna bounce through here. We're gonna run into some bounce.
Yes, imbalance right there.
These wicks. It won't be this pretty drop, that we got the other day. It might be a little bit more turbulence. Maybe it takes 4 days instead of 1 day. You know what I'm saying? So
I get it.
But all you need is to get your,
I'm in Bitcoin.
200 pips. I think we average about 250 easily, where most of y'all feel comfortable holding your trades. Over time, and as the weeks go by, as long as I keep y'all out of the hedges, y'all will start trusting what you're seeing. And you're going to start allowing your trade to run. And that's really when you're going to see the fruits of your labor, right? And a couple of y'all, always ask me about getting the second entry. I'm going to help you with the second entry, but I want it to be Right. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to just get second entries on 4-hour time frames, and then you sweating bullets when it start pulling back. If you had held this trade, when we pull back here, this is your second entry. Now I know a lot of y'all got 2 entries on this drop. My question to you, would those entries hold up if once this trade pull back up?
Should we hedge to that?
Nope, that's why I got out because I knew my entry wasn't gonna hold up.
I was gonna say then you TP right there where you have that area mark, and then wait for it to pull back and then get your entry again. No.
Well, you can do it. Like that. You can do it like that, but that's you're not really swing trading at that point. You're short-term trading.
Yeah.
It's nothing wrong with that, right? The reason why I created the 100 pip and flip is because it gives you defined, clear goals to make your account grow. This drop was what, over 300 pips? You didn't need all 300 pips to flip your account. So if you took your profits, that's cool. That's cool. It's no heartburn, no anything. All I'm saying is this trade, when you drew it up and you did your analysis, everybody in the group said the trade is coming here. Am I right? When y'all fibbed that 2-week candle, didn't everybody in the group say the trade was coming here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm telling you is it's still going to come here.
No, I get it. But you know what's also challenging, Ty, just being honest?
What?
Because like you will see all your, in my mind at least, say we trading and you up $200.
Oh, I know.
And then it pulled back and you up $35.
Yeah,
it's like
happened.
Shit. I should have took my $200 and waited to get back in.
Patient.
That's my dilemma.
Hey, as long as you trade your P&L, that's how it's gonna be.
Yeah, I know. I get it.
Cook.
Hey, how you think I feel?
Man, look. So that's just. I'm just being honest, man. I'm used to see. I come from scalping, so I'm just being transparent. When I come from, grass on the field, play ball. You see that money, man. You don't play around with it. But I'm getting better at it. I've held a trade for 4 days. I ain't never did that in my life. Just being honest. So it's still a work in progress, but like I seen that $1,000, I was gonna take it. It was no hell I wouldn't in my mind. I left a little baby runner. It's probably like at $60 or something like that, but I just couldn't.
Yeah, I mean that's fine, but I think if y'all are if you're at least in the group and you're flipping your account, then that's all you're here for. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, can you hold a trade for longer? Yeah, you can. But like it's a process. It's not like you're going to come in the group and just hold your trade for 3 weeks. I get it. All right. Anybody else have anything?
Yes, I have a question. So when you're fibbing, when you're posting your fib on for your order block, to determine or to mark up your golden zone, where are you marking the top and the bottom of the fib? Are you marking it at the body of the candle or the
wick to wick?
Wick to wick. Okay, that's what I was wondering. And is it for the larger candle or the total, the set, the whole
larger candle? So
the larger candle only. Okay.
Yeah. And if there was a bearish order block, it would be the same thing. I would just do the red candle.
Correct. Okay. Thank you.
No problem.
Hey, I think that peso trade is about ready to sell.
Well, I think so too, but I would really rather wait for the 3-month candle. And here's why. Where is the Mexican peso? Okay. For me, gotta have a bearish OB. I it did everything else, but and I know that we are bearish. We are bearish, but we got to close as a bearish OB for me, and that would make this peso trade come true. The Colombian peso look like we're gonna get the bearish OB. I mean, it just has to stay down. But this Mexican peso trade, for me, if we close bearish OB, then I will look to enter this trade on the once we pull back. I'm looking to enter this trade for the sell. If we don't close bearish, I can't trade it.
How many pips is that? That look like a hella. That's like
it's gonna be a bunch, and it's gonna trade. I'm trying to trade it for this imbalance.
Look at the weekly chart.
It should drop because we got this push down and we got the pullback. So this weekly chart should drop into this imbalance at least. Bro, we just got to close. How many pips do we, let me see. Let me mark up what we need to close. For me, the body has to close below this. 1 week. So as long as we get a body close, like that 3-month candle, the body needs to close below this line right here.
How many pips is that?
It ain't very many. 500 really, 570.
That's not that many.
Well, now this thing moves. Like if you look at the last couple of weeks, if we just get a bearish order block next week, and then the first day we get a push down, it's gonna get there. I think it'll get there.
I do got a question. Is this one of the pairs that pay you, like you said?
Yeah, this is that pair. This is that pair that's gonna pay you if you hold it.
I mean, I think you're going to get it. You know, you just had a pullback on a weekly candle.
I agree. I think you will too. But all I'm saying is we got to wait to get there. And at that point, it doesn't matter how little the position size is. You're going to get paid that swap fee every day.
Can you explain that again? That because I forgot how it works actually.
Your everybody's broker charges you a swap fee, right?
Yep.
Okay. So in this case, once you get into this sell trade, like if it gives us a bearish order block and it buys up that first week in March, and we get in for the sell, it doesn't matter the size of your trade, you're going to get paid a swap fee every day. And as the trade pushes down, of course, the value of your position is going to grow. And they're going to pay you a swap fee every day that you hold it.
Is it all points? We let DES know about this issue.
So if this drops, if it drops for 5 months, you're going to get paid 5 months of swap fees. If it drops for 8 months, you're going to get paid 8 months of swap fees. As long as you have that position open. And
that's crazy.
If you keep adding to it, like every time it pulls back, the same way we're doing it in our little swing trade group, it's going to be the same thing. You're just getting paid to hold that trade. I'm definitely looking forward to it. You know, I want to make sure we get this bearish 3-month candle. Hey, Mike, you said, can we hedge? Or we can hedge. Yeah, you can hedge. You can hedge if you get in a bad position. But I try to keep the group out of the hedge because everybody doesn't know how to do that successfully.
Gotcha.
All right. Any questions? Well, hey, hopefully everybody is being all they can be.
Did you look at the CAD trade time?
What,
The
Eli
East.
Cat?
Yeah.